In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
And this is Mike.
And today we're again on a Sunday. We're our multiple podcasts for the day, right? We're doing the 2-week thing still.
Yeah, we record more than one podcast at once. We record 2 full podcasts at once, and so sometimes there's like a 2-week span where stuff happens that we can't really comment on yet.
We can't always make the comments on.
We're not time travelers, man.
We could be though, but then we already would have been, depending on your theory of that. I'm glad you popped in on that, by the way.
Yeah.
When our one big fan listener posted something about that had a time travel component to it, and me and time travel and ontological paradoxes. It's just one of those things that, like,
I know you love calling those out. You do.
I love time travel movies, but at the same time, I'm always like, how are they working time travel in the movies? Because there's I'm not talking about the real science of it, but let me know, because I can differentiate between real science and then the fake universe science. You know, when you make a movie or you have a book series or whatever, if you have a fake universe, there can be fake universe science that as long as it makes sense within the fake universe and you keep it consistent within the fake universe, then I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Right. Because I can look at it and go, okay, so in this universe, this is what works out for science. They figured out how to harness black holes to make gravity well generators. And that's why in Star Wars, they have the vehicles that can kind of float, because they're using repulsor lifts, which are, it's kind of an anti-gravity generator thing. And the reason why all their ships have gravity on them is because there's gravity generators in the ships. And that's why they have in the Legends novels for Star Wars, they have a certain class of ship, which I think they brought those into the Rebels TV show. I think they brought in an interdictor class ship. I have to check for sure. I think it was Rebels, but they had in the Legends the interdictor class ship, which was an Imperial ship that had gravity well generators, and they could generate with their generators. They could generate the gravity well signature of like a planet. So if you were trying to escape from the Empire by like jumping to hyperspace,
it would suck you back in.
These ships would pull you out of hyperspace. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I get it.
And stop you from being able to go. But the problem,
it's really funny. I was lost for a quick second until you actually explained exactly what it was. And what's so funny is it's just like immediately just goes, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Now the real science problem with that is if you had a gravity well generator on a ship that could generate enough gravity to mimic a planet on the size of a ship, basically the ship would just be impacted into itself and all the people would be crushed and died. So
that would suck.
It's and there was actually a novel I read many years ago. So 25 years ago. Yeah, about 25 years ago I read this novel. Of our tech internet guy, which we will talk about in a minute, Rob, our internet guy, Rob, he actually had him and I had gone to like a used bookstore. He had picked this book up. He read it and then he gave it to me to read, whatever. I can't speak. I can read, but I can't speak. I can read. It was a sci-fi novel, which about all we read back in the day was sci-fi novels. And this one specifically, I think it was called Sovereign, and it was spacefaring different planets. But the way they did space warfare was kind of neat. They had these giant ships, and instead of having like the ability to have full shields around the ship for like ray shielding, they had shields that would move, and it was a chess match between where the enemy would try to shoot you and where you'd move the shield to be able to stop them from hitting your ship.
Yeah.
But the one cool sciencey thing that they did do is that on the decks where the gravity generators were, the closer you got to the gravity generators, the higher the gravity was, and so the further away from the gravity generators you were, the lower the gravity was. You weren't in there wasn't zero gravity, but there'd be microgravities at different decks further away. So they at least did deal with that issue of, if you have a gravity well generator, it should only generate, gravity will only generate so far out before it starts to lose its power. Like magnetism,
that makes sense.
Very much, it loses its power after so much distance away. That's one of those things that isn't ever dealt with properly in a lot of sci-fi stuff. And again, if it's just like the universe just has its own separate universe and it makes up its own rules. This is why Star Wars, by the way, gets away with a lot of stuff, because it is not true sci-fi. Anybody that tries to say that Star Wars is true sci-fi is just dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. It is sci-fi fantasy. So because of the fact that it's got the word fantasy in there, they can make shit up and it's okay.
They can, yeah.
They
totally.
can just be like, yes, we have kyber crystals, and you put the kyber crystals in this flashlight, and boom, you have a lightsaber. And for some reason,
flashlight.
And for some reason, instead of the laser beam just continuing on until something stops it, it's contained within a certain amount. And it's one of those things that as long as within the universe they stay consistent with it,
yeah,
then I'm okay with that, because it's like, it's the conceit of, we're not saying this is happening in the real world. This is in the special Star Wars world.
Well, the part that gets funky, though, that I always kind of get lost in, is one of the things that you started doing, but they had already gotten all their ducks in a row when they tried to do that, is explaining the science behind why something works the way that it does. That's when you start to get wishy-washy. Like, you can't just say something like, and I don't know if this is the case. I legit am coming to this from the outside, so bear with me here. But you can't just say, well, how does a lightsaber know how to stop? Oh, well, the Force. There's an explanation, isn't there?
There is an explanation. There's actually there in the build of the lightsaber, you can build the lightsaber to have different apertures to control the size and length of your lightsaber.
Okay, that makes sense now.
There are some that are built to where you can make them shorter, longer, just by flicking like switches and stuff. So it has to do with the construction of the lightsaber. Now, again, it's still the sciencey thing of the Star Wars world, but
right.
And for instance, kyber crystals are what is used as the main source for power for the Death Star's super laser. So, as learned in the movie Rogue One, that's the main. Well, in Rogue One and in Rebels, where they find on a ship a gigantic freaking kyber crystal. But yes, kyber crystals are what powers the Death Star super laser.
I did not know that.
So again, because the way that it's used, the power that's in the crystal is, it doesn't have to necessarily be contained within the end of what a lightsaber contains it. Now, there is some force element involved, because you actually, Jedi don't find their kyber crystal that they are able to make into their lightsaber without using the force to help them find it, and there is a connection with it, because the crystals do have some kind of connection to the force. But let's be honest, anything that has to do with any connection to the force is, again, part of the fantasy made up stuff, like much different versions of magic are in all different fantasy movies. Where does it come from? I mean, I've seen multiple systems of magic in multiple fantasy universes that have different explanations, but again, as long as you stay consistent within universe as to what the explanations are, so you don't have the inconsistencies in there, it doesn't matter whether it works with real physics and real life or not. It's a fantasy thing. Come on, embrace the fantasy and just know that at least it stays true to form within the fantasy. So
this is actually what's really funny is this is one of the reasons why I love. Have you ever did you ever check out a show called Axe Cop that was it was a cartoon. It was a late night cartoon. Okay.
I saw that it existed, but I never did watch it.
Okay. If I may explain this is absolutely ridiculous, and I loved it for the simple reason that everything you just talked about, especially when it came down to, like, one of the things that it comes down to is consistency and the believability. You make a world believable when you make it consistent. Anything could happen in that world as long as it's consistent, right?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. So this show, Axe Cop, is fucking great because it's just a show it's a cartoon show about a cop, like a highway cop type, or more so police officer. Dude, bushy mustache, cop sunglasses, that kind of a thing, right? And he has an axe. He's a cop that wields a battle axe. That's the point of the show. Everything else is literally written by a fucking 7-year-old. And there is no consistency whatsoever to it. It feels very much like, you ever see the movie Kung Fury?
Yes.
Okay. It's very consistent. Like the consistency is that it's inconsistent. It's the fact that this 7-year-old came up, well, and then this happened. So there's no actual proper story continuity to it. There's no acts to it. There's nothing like that. It's just this story that goes apeshit for like 10 minutes. and these episodes are fucking stupid. We got talking dinosaurs in there. There's fucking time travel shows up at one point. Out in shit that happened, battles out in space, like all this random ass stuff. And there's the world, just the fact that the world is inconsistent is a consistency of the show. And it takes the parody of that sci-fi action art form and turns it into its own. It turns it into its own thing. I love seeing stuff that comments on that and just throws it completely out the window.
And again, that, like you say, that provides its own. The inconsistency provides its own consistency,
right?
And stay true to the universe that you created. I do get frustrated when like a universe is created and then suddenly like more contradictory stuff is added to it. I can understand that you may learn more about the universe as like more movies, more shows, more books, whatever come out about it, but like. When you start contradicting what you'd already set up previously, it's like, which is why, for instance,
when you really, and there's levels of forgiveness that come to that, right? Like
there can be some, but like an example, a really good example for me is and this has to do with the disparity between the book reality and the movie reality and the way that they handle things in the two realities. The book reality of the Harry Potter book. Now we're not going to talk about the author and anything with that. I'm just going to talk about the books themselves. One of the cool things about the way these books are written is that I have to touch on the author a little bit. The first book was the first book that she ever wrote. The first Harry Potter book is the first book.
Oh, J.K. Rowling.
Mm-hmm. So there's some simplistic. There's a simplistic nature to the book, and each book becomes a little less simplistic. Now that may have to do with the fact that she was learning to be a better writer, or it may have to do with the fact that she may have had an overarching goal with it. In that, if you start your kid reading the books, the first one at the age of 10, when 10 or 11, when Harry would have been reading the book or would have been experiencing what was happening in each book, it can actually be age appropriate to that age. And as they're getting older, each book is more age appropriate to that age, and they get more thematically adult. They are a little more difficult to read, have a higher vocabulary in each one. Again, I don't know if she thematically did that, or if it just happened because she became a better writer as she kept writing more books. And in the books, there are new things that get introduced each time, but it is like you're a child that was never a part of this wizarding world, having the various parts of that world unveiled to you piece by piece. And the book has very few contradictory things. It's very good about having, if anything, the book Harry Potter universe is actually pretty well put together. Now there are a few contradictions, but not a whole lot for a universe that spans 7 books. It's not 7+ books. There's not a whole lot of inconsistencies. But then you get into the movie universe, and all that shit is thrown to hell. And so, as much as I do like watching the movies, there are parts in the movies where they're doing magic and they're not saying anything. They're just waving their wand, magic and stuff. And it's like, no, that's not how they do it. Magic without words, you have to be like a super high level wizard to do that. Like Dumbledore can do a little bit of that, and occasionally Voldemort can do that crap. But like, no, the Weasleys, they're not doing that. Sirius Black, he's not doing that. No, that's reserved for like high level seriously, again, Voldemort, who's considered unstoppable, and Dumbledore, who's basically the only one to stop anybody.
Right.
I mean, these are the guys that can do that stuff. And then, none of them can do wandless magic, but wordless magic is like, again, that's like, and you see in like, I think it's the Order of the Phoenix movie. They're having a battle. No, it's not Order of the Phoenix. It is Order of the Phoenix. They're having a battle at the Ministry of Magic, and they're just everybody, including like Harry and Ron and Hermione. They're flinging their wands around, trying to attack other people. They're not saying what spells they're using. They're just flinging their wands around, dancing around, looking pretty with their wands. It's like, no, that's not how it works in the universe. There is a specific order, and she put it in there that there's a specific order to how you cast these spells and what they do, and the fact that the word is important for the casting of the spell, and you have to be really, really, really powerful to not have to use the words, because that means your brain is powerful enough that just thinking the word is enough to pull out the magical energy to make it work.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's like
they throw that out the window for time, I guess.
Well, and to look pretty. It doesn't look. It's to read that the final battle go all the way to the last. Sorry for spoilers for anybody that doesn't know what happens in the last Harry Potter book and in the last Harry Potter movie. Here's
sorry for 20-year-old spoilers at this point.
Voldemort dies. For good, finally. And it's I hate watching it in the movie because it totally takes away from the entire meaning of it. Of what their characters are, what Harry's character is as a person, what Voldemort's character is as a person, totally takes away from the meaning, because when they square off finally against each other, Voldemort casts the death curse, the Avada Kedavra, right?
Right.
Harry casts Expelliarmus, which is to disarm somebody. And that shows that even at the final confrontation between the two, Voldemort wants to kill, Harry just wants to disarm.
Yeah, he just wants to incapacitate.
He's not trying to, not even incapacitate. He just wants to disarm him. He's not trying to kill. He's not attacking. He's just disarming him. That shows that as I'm reading that, I'm seeing the exchange. First time I read it, and it was one of those books that, like, I bought it on the day that it came out, and I sat and read it that day. I told everybody, don't bother me, don't talk to me. I told my wife, don't even talk to me till I'm done reading this book. And that's how big of a Potterhead I am. I have no problem admitting to it.
No shame.
I cried multiple times reading that book. I had to shut it at one point and walk away from it. And my wife's like, what's wrong? What happened? And I'm like, you don't want me to tell you. It is a spoiler, and you don't want me to tell you. She's like, who died? I'm like, I'm not telling you, and you don't want me to. And then more people died, and then more people died. And it was like, fuck. So anyway, that's the final moment in the battle, and they say it, though. They say the words to the spell, and it's a moment that is it's key, because again, it shows who they are as people. It shows their character. Voldemort just wants to kill. Harry just wants to disarm. Even though Voldemort's like the worst thing ever, he just wants to disarm him, because even though he's bad and terrible, Harry still cares. Harry is still a decent person. And he's not a person after power. He's not a person lusting after, destroying other people. He's a person that wants to find the best in people, and all he wants to do is disarm him so that he can be, taken to prison or something. Something happens, by casting the disarm on that, it actually rebounds the death curse, and the rebounded death curse is what kills Voldemort at the end of the books. Instead, it's a whole. Instead, they're each shooting. They're shooting the colors out of their wands that correspond with those two spells, but they basically shoot those out, and then I'm guessing, like, the Harry Potter universe is part of the Avengers universe, because Voldemort just kind of turns to dust. So I guess he's part of the snap. I don't know. He's
so it just looks like oh, Harry was more powerful than Voldemort. Okay. Whereas it's so much deeper than that, because of was being done. The intention goes away.
The intention goes away, and then the fact that the words being said, but it's not as cinematic for them to every time they fling the wand. Expelliarmus, Protego. I mean, yes, those are real spells from Harry Potter. Shut up, I'm a dork.
Don't worry about. I'm not judging you. Jesus.
But anyway, that's the point, is that it loses some of it. But in the novels,
that makes sense.
In the novels, you have that universe building, and it works. In the movies, it's just about being more cinematic and taking away backstories, and then making deaths not be as. It's like the one where I shut the book and had to get away from the book was when Dobby the house elf died. And
yeah, dude. Okay. People couldn't shut up about that, and I didn't necessarily feel bad because that's a heartbreaking moment, and I even know that happened. I never even fucking watched the movies or read the books. I know what happened.
Again, the thing is, in the movies, you get Dobby in Chamber of Secrets. You get Dobby in that movie, and then Dobby doesn't really show up again until the last two movies, until the Deathly Hallows. Okay,
wasn't he consistently throughout all the books though?
Consistently all the time throughout the books. There's another house elf, Winky, who's the house elf for the Crouch family, who ends up getting fired by the Crouch family, and she wants to die, so she comes and lives with Dobby, and Dobby tries to help her get through it, and she becomes an alcoholic, and he tries to help her get through being an alcoholic.
Damn.
And there's Hermione sets up an entire organization called SPEW, Society for the Protection of Elvish Welfare, that she's trying to stop house elves from being basically slaves. So she starts knitting clothes and hides them around the Gryffindor common room. But house elves, actually, for the most part, when they're treated nicely, they like doing what they're doing, when they're not treated like pieces of garbage by like the Crouch family or the Malfoy family or something like that. Because Hogwarts is basically full of house elves. They're the ones who make all the food. They're the ones who supply all the food, clean everything up and whatnot. But they're treated really, really well at Hogwarts, so they like being there and they like doing the stuff. But it comes to a point where
that is a commentary.
It's a weird thing. But
I was going to say that's hard to associate properly.
It is, but it's the way the universe is built for it. But anyway, Dobby ends up having to clean up the Gryffindor common room because there's so many pieces of clothing hidden throughout the common room. The other house elves don't want to clean it and then get the clothing and then be freed, because they like their job, basically.
Right.
They're happy with what they're doing. So Dobby ends up having to be the only one clean, because none of the other house elves will. Because Dobby lives at Hogwarts, and he works at Hogwarts, and he gets paid. Because Dumbledore let him live there, but he wanted to be paid to work there, so he gets paid to work there.
Oh, okay.
So, because he's a free elf, so
Dobby's a free elf,
not beholden to anything. Yeah. So he gets paid to work there. He's present throughout all the other books. So and the relationship with Harry is good throughout all the other books.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he dies, there's so much more impact in the book. It's so much more impactful because Dobby's been one of his closest companions, and then he's dead, and you barely see him in the movie. So it's like, what the fuck? Come on, what the fuck?
Now, again, I haven't seen the movies. Does Dobby die in the films?
Oh yeah. He
does, but he doesn't have. He's just this cute side character that's just seen as a.
Well, you just see him you just really see him in the one movie. A couple of small instances after that, and then he makes the big appearance in Deathly Hallows 1, and basically dies right after he makes his appearance, and then that's it. He's a major plot point. That's the thing, is his death is like a major plot point. You couldn't have the story move forward without his death. It's like huge. It's essential.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, huge plot point. If you saw the movies, you would understand.
Okay.
It's completely necessary. You couldn't put really anybody else in that role. It's literally, he gets sent because he's a house elf and because he's familiar with the property that he has to go to do the job. And house elves have abilities that can't be stopped by other forms of magic. House elves can teleport. Basically as a natural ability and not necessarily as a completely magical ability, so they can do that in places where normally it's not allowed, like Hogwarts. Okay. So the spell is called apparating and disapparating. You can't apparate or disapparate on Hogwarts ground as a human. People cannot
because it requires magic as opposed to a natural ability that an elf has.
It's a magical ability, and the only person
that's ever done it, or is it just not?
It's
or is it not even physically possible? It's blocked.
It's blocked. It's blocked. The only person that's ever been able to do it or ever shown the ability to do it is Dumbledore, and that's because he's Dumbledore. But it's blocked. You can't apparate or disapparate in and out of Hogwarts. Even Voldemort couldn't do it.
Okay.
But house elves can.
Huh.
And part of that actually goes back to some racist bullshit with the founders of Hogwarts. Salazar Slytherin, one of the founders of Hogwarts, basically house elves were considered lesser creatures than wizards, so they didn't care about what magical abilities they had. Same with Voldemort. Voldemort never gave any credit to what house elves can and can't do, because as far as he was concerned, they were lesser creatures. So even if they had different abilities, who cares? They're not wizards. So shit, just scum. Yeah, there's actually a lot of discussion of racist overtones in the book. There's so much. Again, as the books, they're an encompassing universe. They really, really are. And of course, I say this because Harry Potter is one of my favorite Xennials ever. I have to always add that when we're talking Harry Potter. But no, it's again, the novel.
Wasn't he born in like 81 or something like that?
1980 actually.
80. Okay.
1980. July 31st,
are they okay?
1980.
So let me ask this, because I'm not sure if I'm quite positive you went over it. I kind of need a bit of a reminder. With Potter, are they counting back how old he is by the release of the first book, and then saying, oh, he was this old, which means that no, there's an actual year of birth.
The first books were released in the in like mid to late 90s. So no, his birth date is 1980.
Oh,
his birth date is in 1980.
Oh wow, so it is established.
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that there was an actual year of birth that was established for him. I knew he was technically a Xennial. I just didn't know. I didn't know how it was.
And actually, what's funny is the first book was published June 26, 1997, which I think is close to that's close to when the Battle of Hogwarts happens. The battle in the basically the way that it's structured is all of this takes place between 1990 and 1997. But 97 is when the first book is released, and so there's even been some speculation that one of the characters in the books, Rita Skeeter, who is a witch who works for the Daily Prophet. That's kind of the wizarding newspaper. That Rita Skeeter is basically J.K. Rowling.
Rita Skeeter.
J.K. Rowling is basically her Muggle name. And we're really living in the Harry Potter universe. We just don't know.
That's adorable.
But no,
that's great. I love that.
No, his birth date is specifically given as being in 1980. So yeah, he was born in July.
I'll be damned.
July 31st again, to be completely clear. July 31st, 1980.
Wow.
So yes, he'd have been in class with us, man. At least with me. Well, not really.
Say, yeah, he would have been 17 in 97. So
I mean, not, and I gotta say, not really, because he would be in England and I was, in California. So we really wouldn't have seen each other, because I have no capability to go to England.
All right,
it is, and it requires a plane over the ocean, which I won't. So I'll do the plane over land. I am not doing the plane over ocean. Screw that.
Okay, I can understand that, I guess.
Do you want the logic? I'll give you the logic.
Well, if you crash on land, it's more likely that you'll be found and there'll be, you have emergency support. But you crash in the ocean, who knows? You're fucked.
Well, there's also the thing to add that, like, I am completely and utterly terrified of water.
Oh yeah, that'd be a thing.
And can't swim. So if we crash above land, I crash there. If I survive the plane crash, if I survive the actual crash, which is possible depending on where I'm sitting.
Right.
If I survive the plane crash, I know I can figure out how to survive on land. I know I can figure out how to do that.
Risk of drowning is a whole different story, though.
There's no risk of drowning. If I survive the crash over water, I'm dead anyway, because I will drown.
Oh God.
All the body fat you would think would be enough to float me to the top. Nope. I sink like a fucking stone. I would die. And I would die in complete and utter terror because it would be like, oh my God, there's the ocean beneath me, unfathomable depths that I can't see the bottom of. That is like my moment of terror. And so it would be the most awful way to die for me anyway, humanly possible.
That I can understand. God, that is just jarring.
So,
I mean, not to compound it. This is a terrible time to say something like this, but I know that it has been. I know it's been essentially reported that when you do drown, you're awake until you die.
I know this. I know this. Again,
dark thing to end this segment on. But
again, this is why I don't mess around with. This is why I don't mess around with water. I don't get too near water. Like I like watching and listening to the ocean, but I want to be a good like 300-400 feet away from that shit.
Understood.
And I want to make sure that like I do have an escape route if I see like the tide go back really, really far, because that's a big fucking wave, and I don't with that. Because then the wave will hit me, and then it'll pull me back into the water more, and then I'm gonna die. I don't deal with any body of water that I cannot see the bottom and I cannot put my feet on the bottom and still have my head above the water.
Understood.
So like,
yeah, that makes sense.
Like there are places in Lake Tahoe where I don't know if it's still this way, but it used to be that you could see all the way to the bottom, even though it's like really deep. It used to be that way. Not anymore, probably. I haven't been in a long time, and even the last time I was close to Lake Tahoe, I was more worried about dealing with wedding and not dealing with looking at the water because I don't want to be with the water. Don't like the water. Last time I dealt with the water of Lake Tahoe, it was late at night. I was on a like an old paddle boat, and I was just worried about staying as much towards the middle of the boat as humanly possible.
Oh God!
And drinking as much coffee as I possibly could, because I was tired as hell and freaking out that I had to be on a boat.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was like, way to feed the anxiety, but you were ready to fall asleep, and you're like, I don't want to fall asleep.
Not on the boat. No,
not on the boat.
Not on a boat.
Nah, that makes sense.
Not on a boat.
Man, this got dark real fast.
I stay away from those things. And it's not even just like, first of all, it's never a fear of sharks, because people who are afraid of sharks in the ocean are just stupid. Be more afraid of cows. Cows are much more likely to hurt you than sharks. Seriously.
Fair.
Be more afraid of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes kill way more people than sharks ever do. Like ever. Mosquitoes are responsible for over half of the deaths ever, all time, because of the diseases they carry.
True.
Please be more afraid of mosquitoes than you are ever afraid of sharks. Seriously.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, you can get bitten by like 20 mosquitoes and maybe not die, and you get bitten by one shark and that may kill you, but less likely to happen regardless. Anyway, it's not even like the brain eating like amoebas and shit that you can get in like lakes and rivers and stuff. Those are scary, but that's not what scares me. It's just the water itself, and not seeing the bottom and not being able to know where the bottom is. I feel like it's trying to suck me in. Even pools that are deeper than 5 foot deep, like, you have a regular standard pool, like at an apartment complex or something, or at a hotel. You have a pool and it's like 9 foot deep at the deepest spot. I can't even get in those pools because I feel like the water is trying to pull me down into the deep. I know it's not. I am a logical person. I know that it's not doing it, but my brain is saying logic doesn't matter here. It's trying to pull you to the deep part and kill you.
That is terrifying.
So, yes, it is one of those things that definitely qualifies as a phobia. It is a completely irrational fear that I don't know of any real basis for it, and I cannot work through it. It just terrifies me.
I can understand that.
I used to have a little bit of a fear of heights. I've gotten more comfortable with that. I am wary of heights because if you fall, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't have like the knee shaking, sweating everywhere fear that I used to have. I've gotten to be more comfortable with that. But the water, nip.
Understood.
Still terrifies me. I can't even watch like Finding Nemo without having to freak out a little bit. And it's an animated film underwater, and it still freaks me out. Anything where they're like doing it's a nature documentary where they're diving underwater for anything, I'm freaking out the entire time watching that thing. I am sitting in a chair watching a TV screen of somebody else doing the diving, and it is still freaking me out. I understand how people, when they see like a spider on screen and they're afraid of spiders, freak out from that, or a snake on a screen and freak out from that. I get it, because being underwater freaks me out. Anyway, on that note, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, today is the it's the 15th. Are we at the 15th of August? 14th, 15th, something like that. And something happened, at least in our area, for all the parents around. School went back in session last week.
Oh,
we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Yeah, fun. So we'll be back in just a moment.
All right.
Hey friends, this is Mike from the Xennial Chronicles reminding you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Xenchron, spelled Xenchron, to keep up to date on all things TXC. And please check out our official website, theXennialChronicles.com, or if that's too much to type, Xenchron.com. Thanks again for listening, and now, back to the show.
And we are Johan.
We're back?
Yes, there you go. You got it.
Yeah.
All right. That's been a favorite phrase of mine for many, many years. And I get people to question it almost every single time because I use it with people that are familiar with it, especially family. So to my wife, I'll be leaving the house or whatever, and I'm like, I'll be Johan. And people are like, what? What the heck does that mean?
I totally got that immediately.
I'm glad you did.
You know what's really funny, actually, speaking of the name Johan in general was a very, very, very common name in that time period. And pretty much every single major composer, as far as I have been told, from a very close friend of mine who was very, very, very into music history and who's very into just in music composition. The guy's a musical genius. Every one of those composers were named Johann. Did you know that Mozart's first name is actually Johann? It's Johann Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
You're making that up.
I am not. You can totally find it. So Johann Sebastian Bach, Johann Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Haydn, I think, is Joseph, but let me look up Haydn. Not Hayden Christensen, stupid. Fucking Google.
Google is so much fun.
Joseph Haydn, Haydn. American. Austrian composer, thank you. God, I can't read. No, his name is Franz Joseph Haydn. Okay, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. If Ludwig is not a Johann. Johann Ludwig von Beethoven. That sounds like it would work.
It does, but no. I was going to say Beethoven was Ludwig, but whatever. What do I know?
Ludwig van Beethoven. No, yeah. No. Okay, let me look up. What does it say for Mozart though?
I don't know. I'm not looking it up.
Oh, okay. All right. We got a problem here because baptized is no, you're right. Holy shit. Okay, so get this. He was baptized as Johann Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. Good God, that is a name. So his stage name essentially was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, but Johann Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. That is his full baptized name. Damn. That is ridiculous. So sorry, I'm sidelining the entire conversation here. Please continue.
That's a thing right there. That's really a thing. I honestly don't even know where. I guess this all started from me saying Johann.
Yeah, you said Johann.
to say we're back.
Yeah,
and now I kind of regret doing it. But we've
been doing this for 3 minutes, James.
It's one of those things that you say something innocent. It's usually I'm on the other end of this spectrum. I'm usually the one that somebody else says something innocent, and then I have to do 3 minutes of weird backstory that has no real meaning or component to it. We got the freaking joke, all right? We got the joke. Why do you need to keep explaining the whole damn joke? Because I'm not sure that you got it. No, we got the damn joke. You can stop. You can just please stop. Like everybody is asking me to.
Forgive my divergence.
It's.
I consider this my fault. I'm just saying.
All good. It's all good. Anyway, we're back here to talk about the start of school back up, because this is something I know you don't necessarily always think about in the same way, because you don't have the children to worry about. In some ways, I would say be thankful.
I mean, I can look at it from the outside and have my conclusions, but yeah.
Well, and you can go to the store and be like, why the hell are all these goddamn people at the store right now? And why are they buying?
Dude,
why are they buying boxes and boxes of snacks and stuff?
I had to do. Oh, dude, you won't even know. I had to go out to the mall with my wife. We went to the mall. We had to go to the mall. Galleria in Roseville. The Roseville Galleria. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what. This is a terrible time. We went to 2 total places yesterday. Okay. We had to get a new spatula set. Our spatulas had gone bad. We went to Williams-Sonoma and we got ourselves the good stuff. Okay. That's why we went to the mall, because there's no other Williams-Sonoma. We did try to go to the Bed Bath & Beyond first to see if we could find something good. We couldn't find any good there. Anything, nothing up to snuff, you know?
Dude, I buy that stuff at like the dollar store.
I understand entirely. We want stuff that lasts a little bit. You're missing out on your cookware if you haven't at least tried, you know, some of the higher class stuff. We found the difference. It helps. And and sometimes therapy shopping is a thing. Okay.
Oh no, I do. I
am married. I understand.
Hey, I do. I do therapy shopping, but mine is
I have my therapy shopping too. We went and shopped for video games. I had my therapy shopping, and then she had her therapy shopping. So
yeah,
hers is more useful because it actually feeds us. So we had
mine is useful because it looks pretty. My shoes, my hats, my Funkos, they all look pretty.
This is true. But I can attest to the understanding that this was necessary. And I was looking at the stuff they had there. Holy shit, they have some killer stuff. But we had to brave them all. Now, we tactically braved them all as best we could, which was we went through the closest entrance to that store that we could find. We went in, we went down an escalator, we went right into the store, and we went right back out after we were done. And that was it. Very limited in human contact. However, outside, while we were trying to find a place to park at this mall, every spot was taken up, and it was on the side of the mall that had a cheesecake factory. And it was overflowing with people. Just not a mask in sight either. Until we stepped inside. We were one of probably what I would say would be the majority of people. Especially at the Williams-Sonoma. There wasn't a mask that wasn't on, except for I saw a total of 2 people without masks on when I went in there, and saw probably about 15 people in that store total, including the employees, and everyone but 2 people were wearing masks.
I will admit that there seems to be a correlation with people that are wearing their masks and their socioeconomic status, but that is a discussion for a whole other time.
Yeah, totally.
I do see a very big correlation with that situation.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily trying to be judgmental in that. I wasn't necessarily. I know you are. You don't give a shit. I'll be
judgmental. I'll be judgmental as all hell.
No, I get it. No, that's kind of part of what drives. It's kind of part of what drives your commentary. I totally understand it.
That's kind of part of what drives my entire life.
But so now it's funny because when you
James, I'm gonna be judgmental on you. Just accept it. If you don't, I really don't care. That's who I am.
Right. I mean,
you're gonna judge me because you think that's gonna hurt my feelings. Oh, so sweet. It's not.
But yeah,
trust me, you can't judge me as harsh as I've been judged in my life. There's scars. Oh, sorry. Moving on. You went to the mall.
Yeah, we went to the mall, but that was after we went to a local video game shop out here. It was one of those. It's a video game reseller, so used games and stuff. And funny enough, the environment in the used video game shop, there wasn't anybody that didn't have a mask. They've got the sign on the door. They're doing the whole thing. Like they're just like, no, masks are mandatory. You need to have a mask on when you're in here, regardless. So not this. Not like the sign they had at the mall was, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need a mask. And I don't agree. I mean, not to say that there's, people can make their arguments about what organization says what. Honestly, it's not a good idea right now. It's not a good idea to not mask up.
Okay, I'll be the one to say it on here. I'll be the one to say it on here.
It.
Here's the thing. Even if you're fully vaccinated, you again, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
We don't have to be medical doctors to understand the science of this. Vaccines do not stop you completely from getting and carrying coronavirus or any virus for that matter. It doesn't stop you from carrying it. It doesn't stop you from getting it. What it does is stop you from getting really bad sick with it. But you can still get it from somebody else, and you can carry it to somebody else. So here's the deal. You're not wearing masks to protect yourself. You're wearing masks to protect every other person that you might possibly know and or come in contact with, so that they don't get the thing. Okay? That's the real truth of the situation. So I'm sorry, but I'll go out on the just me and say, if you're fully vaccinated and you choose not to wear a mask in public, what you're saying is, I don't really only care about my health. I'm not worried about the health of anybody else that I know.
Right.
That's my feeling on what you're saying. That's all we're going to say about it. So moving on, you went to the video game store, you got your things in the mall. So it was just crazy. Lots of people
it was crazy. Yeah. Especially at the mall. It was pandemonium until we stepped inside. Right. It just seemed like it obviously has to do with the crowds and who's going to certain places and all that. Like, you can tell who cares and who doesn't and where they're going to go. You know what I mean?
But yeah. And I mean, anytime you're in any public situation, you encounter those issues. But with the start of school, it becomes even worse. And luckily, you don't. If I remember correctly, you're not a regular frequenter of the Walmart stores. That's not one of your preferred major places to go shopping. I'm saying you don't ever do it, but it's not
it's not.
You don't go. You don't go twice a week, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I'm either myself or my wife is in a Walmart at least twice a week, if not more, because that's where we get the majority of our things, because it's a good place to get things when you don't have a lot of money. And also when you live in an area basically culturally void of anything good, Walmart's one of the few places that you can get most of the things that you want, even if they're crappy knockoff versions of them. I'm sorry, but
void of anything good.
seriously, we do live in an area that has, I bemoan this on a regular basis, for an area that is actually very culturally diverse.
Yeah.
We have various large cultural populations in this area. Mm-hmm. Only one of them has expressed itself in eateries, in restaurants that are I'm assuming decent restaurants. It's not a food group that I necessarily have a lot of experience in, and that's because somebody destroyed curry for me years ago. Just the smell of curry makes me sick to my stomach.
Oh man!
Because they served me a curry chicken dish that basically made me sick for like 3 days, and it's one of those.
Sucks.
It's one of those things that like just the smell of curry makes me sick, and so I have completely missed out on any understanding of Indian food, which for the area that we live near, the somewhat metropolitan area that we live near, there is a very large Indian population, large Pakistani population. It has one of the largest, it's actually the second largest Sikh temple in the world is in that area.
Damn.
And so there's a huge number of Indian food restaurants, and apparently a lot of really good ones, but I've not eaten at any of them because I can't even walk by them without having PTSD stomachache.
Oh my God.
Seriously, it's bad. I do feel like I've missed out on possibly some really good food. I just can't get past the smell of it. And it's just the curry smell is just, it just overpowers me and just makes me nauseous. And I can trace it back to one person making one dish that completely ruined it for me. And one day, hopefully I'll get over it. At this point, I have not. I still have the issue. Of course, I used to have a similar issue walking past Strings, the Italian restaurant.
Oh yeah,
the smell from that place used to make me nauseous, but not to the same level, and not with the same remembrance of time spent in the bathroom as the other one. And I want to be clear, it was that person's cooking and that person's exceptional overuse of curry that ruined it for me. It's like people that have done the cinnamon challenge. If you remember the cinnamon challenge.
Oh my God, isn't that like toxic? Like potentially toxic?
It can be, and it's for like people who have done that and then they just cannot deal with cinnamon ever again, or those people that have that one alcohol that they can't drink anymore because they drink it so much and puke so much one night drinking it that just the smell of it makes them sick to their stomach. That's basically where I'm at with anything curry related. So, and it's just one of those things, like one day maybe I'll get past it, but today is not that day. Tomorrow doesn't look like it either. But literally, we have a lot of cultural diversity in this area, and that's the only way it's really expressed in any way is for, well, a lot of shops that have traditional Indian clothing, but the Indian food is really the only real food experience or again, cultural experience in the area. It's we recently got a KFC again. Of all things, we got a KFC again because we haven't had one for like 8 years. And when I say recently, I'm talking within the last 2 weeks. And there's been a 20-car line for the drive-thru since it opened. 20-car line for KFC. That is how culturally devoid of anything good the area I live in is.
I got a question for you. Good. I have a legitimate question for you, and I think I know why this is the case. Is there a Popeyes up there in your area?
There is, and they're awful.
What the fuck?
They're even worse.
You've got to be kidding me. I know exactly why that's the case. There's a KFC in town. You're honestly making me really want one of their chicken sandwiches right now, but I will drive farther to the Popeyes down in Citrus Heights just to get a Popeyes chicken sandwich over KFC. I will do it. KFC is a suitable substitute. It really is.
No, it's not. KFC is awful, and so is Popeyes. I'm saying that. Don't sponsor us.
Okay, so it's fuck off. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, sorry, those chicken sandwiches are bitchin', and I doubt you've ever had one. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say you've never had one. So you have no gauge.
Okay, I'll
have you had one?
I've never had the chicken sandwiches, but I've had all the products, and I won't eat there.
There is other stuff there that is not as good as those damn chicken sandwiches. I'm actually quite surprised at how good the chicken sandwich is in comparison to everything else. Like, if you will have a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, if your viewpoints outside of Chick-fil-A's viewpoints would allow you to have one of those, which I highly understand that you would not, and I won't.
Never.
Yeah, I won't. Like, I won't do it. And I have before, but this is before I was understanding of certain situations. Okay?
Before I taught you the truth.
You didn't teach me, motherfucker. I learned shit on my own.
This, we're diverging. We're talking about chicken sandwiches, really diverging. But here's the thing. I will agree that no, I have not tried the chicken sandwiches at either. But that is because the rest of their food is so disgusting to me that I would find it hard even trying the chicken sandwiches there, because I will not eat anything at Popeyes, and I won't really eat much anything at KFC either. That's just my personal feeling. For people who like them, great. I ate KFC a whole lot when I was a teenager because it was one of my mother's favorite places to go.
Yeah.
For people that like them, fantastic. If I want fried chicken with the bone in, I will actually go to any place that has like a deli that does like JoJo potatoes and whatnot, the crispy potato wedges. Anywhere that does that probably is going to make better fried chicken, in my opinion, than what KFC does. But
I will tell you this.
Just me.
Yeah, because I am in agreement with you for that. The way that KFC's fried chicken is, the on the bone fried chicken, it's not great. It really isn't. I can totally attest to that. There's actually a place that I was shown. You remember? You know Kevin Johnson is, right? Former mayor.
Yeah, wasn't he a basketball player at one point?
He was, I think he was on the Kings, and he ended up becoming mayor for a period of time in Sacramento.
Yeah.
He actually runs and he owns and operates his own chicken wings place.
Okay.
And that shit is bitchin'. That's some boutique fried chicken. Like there's different flavors and styles and all that kind of stuff that you can get, but the quality of the chicken itself is killer. It's really good.
I'm one of those people that want to try it without interest or anything at first, because it's just like trying a burger with nothing on it at first. You want to make sure that the base is good and the base has the real flavor to it.
Yeah.
And then
I can understand that.
The additives add to the flavor. But anyway,
yeah.
What we were talking about was the back to school thing.
Yeah.
And people are thinking, oh great, he's talking about back to school, so, and because you mentioned this stuff about it while you were out shopping, he's going to talk about the masks and all that stuff again. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that at all.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about something that as a child bugged the crap out of me.
Oh.
And as a parent bugs me even more.
Oh, this is different.
This is a regular thing that is a I would say it's a debated topic in the household, because my wife likes to get in on sales and deals. She's really big about getting in on sales and deals.
Okay.
And she's cool at buying things that don't get used for a while because it's a really good price, or it's the only time that it's available. And hey, let's have this on hand just in case we need to have it.
Okay.
Or hey, this is the time to buy these things even if it's not needed right now because they're like half the price that they normally would be. But I have a mental block with these things happening at a certain time of year, because I automatically reactionarily, this is just a reaction thing for me, and I have to dial it back because I'm doing a reaction instead of thinking logically. I do it too. I try to think logically as much as possible, but I am human and I have reactions that are illogical reactions. The key here is, of course, admitting when those things happen, understanding when those things happen, and trying to let logic and reaction have an appropriate balance.
Okay.
That they need to have. You don't want one over the other. If you're completely logical, you're dispassionate. If you're completely reactionary, you're too passionate. You need to find the proper balance between the two.
That's
sometimes
fair.
Sometimes logic's the right way to go. Sometimes the emotion is the right way to go. It's the balance. So the thing is, it's almost a cultural traditional thing, and I think it started before our generation, but our generation, I feel like, real dose of this. We got this real feeling. It's the back to school shopping.
Okay.
And the idea that all these things are on sale for back to school because every year your kid needs new clothes to go back to school. And this is like a thing that you need and when I say thing, it's a cultural thing, not just a sales thing, but it's a cultural thing. You need new clothes to go back to school. You need a new backpack each year to go back to school. New shoes, new all of that. Because the first week of school, think back to your first week of school back during those times. Didn't everybody want to have the new clothes that they were wearing? And you picked out your outfit for the first day of school, or even maybe for the whole first week of school, for all the new clothes that were bought for you. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. And even if the clothes weren't bought for you, do you remember the mindset of you wanted to have the brand new clothes so that you could wear all the new clothes the first week of school?
Yeah, I totally do.
Okay, but here's the thing. The parents that buy into that mindset,
mm-hmm.
some of them bought in so hard that was the only time you ever got clothes, was at the beginning of the school year.
Right.
And be damned if you grew or you wore out anything, because no, you got these clothes at the beginning of the year, they have to last you the whole damn year. It's the only time you get new clothes.
Right.
It's the only time you get a new backpack. It's the only time you get any of these new things. And you have to have these things. First of all, any kind of cultural thing where you have to have them to be a part of the group or to be a part of whatever movement is going on, I don't like those things. I'm the first one to be like, no, I don't have to, and I'm not going to on purpose. Because I'm contradictory that way.
Okay.
But again, I'm the person who, like, when something is a fad or a trend of some type, I will do the exact opposite of it, unless I already like the thing, and then I'm like, okay, it's my thing already. And then once it's no longer a trend, I'm still doing it because I was not a trend person. I just am me. So anyway, point being, I hated this thing growing up. I hated the idea that I only got clothes once a year. I hated that I'd get, so many pairs of pants. And then what if styles change halfway through the year?
Right.
then you're stuck in the style that was previous because you don't get anything new. Now, part of that was socioeconomic. We didn't have the money to buy more than that, but I'd go into summer and like I wouldn't wear my school clothes during summer. I just wore like, sweatpants and shorts and stuff to play outside in the summer. So like when school started up again, if I haven't grown, why do I need new shoes? Why do I need new clothes? If my stuff's all in good condition, why do I need these things? Why do I need a new backpack? Finally, in high school, got to not have new backpacks because I like my backpack. Well, it's beat up and it's dirty. Exactly. It's worn in. It's exactly how I want it to be. I don't want a brand new shiny backpack. I don't need the damn thing. Well, I don't understand why you need a new backpack for the new school year. No. So this is a regular thing that every year that my wife, because she sees the sales for, the kids' clothes, underwear, socks, shoes, whatever. And she's like, hey, backpacks. Hey, these things are on sale. You want to get some? Why? The backpacks are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Well, I know that, but they're on sale right now. And I don't see a reason why we need to get one. Their backpack's perfectly fine. Well, what if they need a backpack halfway through the year? Then we'll pay for it halfway through the year, but it's on sale. I don't care. So I'll pay like $5 more halfway through the year when this one kid's backpack is damaged. We'll buy him another backpack for $5 more. I don't need to buy everybody new backpacks every single year. There's no reason for it. They like their backpacks. They're in good condition. They're not asking us for new backpacks. They're not saying, I'm not into this anymore. Can I get a new one? When they ask for one, we'll buy one for them. We don't have to buy it when there's the sale. And she's like, I'm just trying to think of saving us some money. Some of these things we can buy and save and whatnot. I'm like, but it's the beginning of the year and we can't do that because then we're those parents that buy brand new stuff at the beginning of the school year. That's where the mental thing comes in. So I'm sorry I had to have a little rant about that. It drives me crazy every year. Thoughts?
Thoughts?
Yes. Do you have thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I would essentially agree. Like, I understand. First off, I really agree with your point that you need. Sorry, when you're looking at new clothes, you're probably going to look at new clothes multiple times a year for kids. Like, they're going to grow quick, especially if they're younger, right?
Yeah.
I can understand that entirely. So waiting things out until you've got holes in your shit and then showing up, because here's what's going to also happen. Those kids are going to wear out those clothes in a month. You're going to get holes in those clothes, and now they're going to have to deal with those holes in those clothes and all that kind of shit for like what the other 6 months that school's in session.
And this is the other thing. I think this puts.
I think it's longer than that, but I honestly haven't gone to school in 20 years, so.
It's like what 9-10 months of school every year.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I think what this does is this is part of the psychological pressure we put on kids that ends up coming into their adulthood, where they're so worried about their appearance and so worried about having to. This starts the whole keeping up with the Joneses ideology.
Well, that's
keeping
okay.
Up with the Joneses thing.
I see where you're coming from with that. I think there is more than just that going on.
Oh yes, more than
you have the influence of their
just
friends that's doing that, but the parents. It's not like they have ultimate control of that influence entirely, but they do have a majority of it.
Okay, you're right. I'm reaching a little far with the keeping up with the Joneses thing. I think that I think more of what I'm trying to say is this is where we're. It's more of the keeping up with the. Well, I can't use that because it's a phrase for a TV show and they may sue us if they ever even hear about us existing.
I don't think they would, and I don't know what the phrase is.
I was saying keeping up with like the Kardashians and the idea of the this is to me, this instills, forget about the keeping up with the Joneses and getting all the new shit. It's more about you're instilling the idea of having to regularly dress up to impress other people, and regularly have new clothes and stuff to be appealing to other people outside of it. And a lot of times it's also not letting the child express their own style and their own understanding of how they want to, to be. It's just, this is the thing that's on sale. Let's buy these things that are on sale. And this is the way that you need to dress, because this is what's available for it. And you always, every year you got to get the new stuff, and and at this time of year. And the at this time of year part is the biggest part for me.
Yeah,
that's the biggest part for me.
I can definitely get behind that. It basically stifles expression is what you're talking about.
It does. It stifles expression, and then it also, I believe, puts the locus of your self-esteem outside of yourself and onto other people. You have to have these new clothes to start school off right, so that you can start, that's how you started off right, is by having these new clothes. It's like, it should be about your attitude and your feeling. And what if you're comfortable in the clothes that you already have? Why do you need these new clothes to be able to do it? And why does it have to happen? The biggest thing for me is, why does it only have to happen at the beginning of the year? Why can't it happen at any point that you're ready to have new clothes? Things wear out, you buy the new clothes at that point. And it's not like people get a sudden influx of cash in August and September. Actually, typically that's when parents have the least amount of cash, because their kids have been home and have been eating them out of house and home the entire time, because normally the school at least helps take care of their breakfast and lunch. Or even if you send their breakfast and lunch with them, even if they have breakfast at home and you send lunch with them, they eat like half or a quarter of what they would eat in their lunch pails, as opposed to what they eat when they're sitting at home all summer long, and they are snacking all damn day long, and they eat freaking everything in sight. It is a real thing. It's really real that you send them, you can pack them with all kinds of cool things in their lunch, and you have like 5 or 6 different things, and they eat like 2 of them when they're packed in their lunch for school. But they sit at home and they eat everything. The stuff that would normally have lasted like 2 weeks as lunch stuff is gone in 3 days when they're sitting at home during the summertime.
That makes sense.
Like, it's seriously like it's a whole different universe.
Yeah.
So parents are exhausted and broke by the time that the middle and end of August rolls around and kids go back into school. They're just like, oh my God, I cannot believe these children eat so much. Why don't they do this regularly? And then they like overpack the first week of lunch for school, because it's like, this kid's been eating like mad. They must be getting ready to grow. Something's happening. And the lunch pail comes home, and there's like they ate like the Twinkie, and that's it. The sandwich is still there. The carrot sticks, of course, are still there, because nobody wants to eat the carrot sticks. Come on. Quit trying to get your kids to eat carrot sticks. They don't freaking want them. Don't worry. When they become adults, their taste buds will change, and they will eat stuff like carrots and Brussels sprouts and kale. They will at some point. Kids aren't going to do that. The adults will eventually. Why don't you show them that adults eat that kind of stuff by eating it yourself, so that when they become adults, then they'll understand, okay, these are okay foods to eat. Just saying.
Boy, that's a question I could have for you. As a non-parent to a parent, if I may ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I'm curious what you think about this. How much of the healthy eating for your kids planned by parents for those kids do you think is a placebo effect on the parents?
Okay, here's the deal. Yeah, as far as saying, I've planned out these healthy foods, so I must be a good parent, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Not only that, it's like, no, they're never having candy bars, and they're not playing video games, and they're not watching cartoons past XYZ. That's bullshit. Yeah, that's all bullshit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, if the kid sees another kid with a Twinkie, yeah.
This is complete and utter bullshit. This is actually the parents that try to do their kids the healthy food are the parents that make their kids only get new stuff in frickin' August before school starts. This is the same kind of diluted mindset and that's why the kids need to be in brand new clothes going to school, not necessarily for the kids to look good. This is for the parents to look good. This is for the parents to look like, look, I went out and bought my kids all brand new school stuff. Look at the brand new shiny backpack they have.
Damn.
This is not about caring about the kids' wants and desires and things that the kids like. This is why, by the way, parents make their kids dress in the clothes that the parents want them to dress in, as opposed to the clothes that the kids want them to dress in. This is why parents get mad when their kids want to dye their hair blue. You can't do that to your hair. When their kids want to perm their hair, when their kids want to get an ear piercing, when their kids decide to chop off all their hair, the parents are like, you shaved your head, how could you do that? Why not? Hair grows back. If the kid wants to shave their head, why aren't you supporting them expressing themselves in a way that doesn't hurt anybody except for, how people view you as a parent? Well, screw those people viewing you as the parent. You're taking care of the needs of your kid, making your kid feel empowered to make their decisions and choices that they want to make while they're growing and learning. And so guess what? I will say this right out. If you don't want your kids to eat unhealthy, if that's your goal, first of all, you better be eating healthy yourself, because if you're eating the Twinkie, you better let them eat the Twinkie. I'm sorry, but it's not a whole do as I say, not as I do. You lead by example. parents. So if you want your kid to not be rude to other people, don't be rude to other people. You want your kid to grow up treating wait staff at a restaurant nice, do it yourself. You want your kid to not be a Karen when they grow up? First of all, don't name them that. You shouldn't name them that anyway. But secondly, don't be that way as a person, right? Am I right?
Yeah, legit. Lead by example. I love it. That's absolutely correct.
And here's the thing: if you personally are going to impose all these restrictions, all these rules, all of these societal things to try to conform to what society wants, you are creating. This is the part where I'm into my personal opinion category here. Mm-hmm. I believe you are creating levels of neurosis, levels of anxiety, levels of psychological damage to your child that will be passed down through generations and will cause so many more problems. Instead of teaching your kids to be self-actualized, to be able to make their own decisions, to understand that there are the rules. You don't throw out the idea that there's rules and expectations in society. You make sure that they understand that those rules exist, but also make sure to understand they are going to have to follow some of them. And they're not going to like having to follow some of them. But sometimes life is having to do things that you don't like. You can tell kids this. Kids are smarter than what you think they are if you give them the benefit of the doubt on that. If you give them the opportunity to be. The more you dumb them down, the more you make restrictive rules that don't make any sense other than I'm the parent, I'm going to make rules, the less you have with the ability to help them grow into capable decision-making adults that can balance the logic and emotion properly. You need to give them that. And so, yeah, the idea of I'm going to set up this healthy diet for my kid because that's what's best. First of all, it's not what's best. Children actually need a completely different diet than what an adult healthy diet is because their bodies need different things. If you actually really study nutrition, you would understand that. And it's not just human children; it's like throughout all the animal kingdom. Depending on the life, the moment in life cycle that a different animal is in, and yes, we are animals, even though we're humans. It depends on the different area of life cycle has different nutritional needs. Kids actually need more protein and more carbs than what adults do.
Yeah, they do.
They do need a mixture of vitamins. Yes. But they need less of them than what adults do. They also need less fiber than what adults do. Adults need less carbohydrates, less protein, more fiber, more vitamins, because our body's chemistry is different once we stop growing. This is why, now that's not to say that kids can just eat as many as things to. This is where you have the opportunity to teach them how to make appropriate decisions for themselves, teach them how to self-regulate. And you can start with just the idea of, hey, yeah, you can have these things, but we need to do them in moderation. We need to have them only so many times. You want a cupcake? Fine. We can do a cupcake a day. Because a cupcake a day, you still get the cupcake, but you're not just eating cupcakes and being unhealthy. Right. Eating too much of those things right now, it may not bother you, upset your stomach now, but it can have consequences for you later. And you can teach them. You can teach them so many things if you actually sit and treat children like human beings as opposed to like things that you own. They are not your possessions. They are humans that you decided to create. And so because you decided to create them, your job is to serve them in helping them grow to be functioning adults. They are the boss. You are not. You ask the question, you got a big answer from it, but that's where a lot of this stems from. Is this hatred for this time of year? This is a pose done by adults, just like you're talking about with the meals. This is a pose done by the parents to try to show, look, I'm the good parent. I've bought all the things that my kid needs for school. Yeah, you did it all in one point in time, and the purpose is to show off, to basically hawk your ability as a parent. It's not about what you do every single day. It's not about actually being a good parent. It's trying to show somebody you're a good parent. That's really not doing the job. Doing the job is getting your children to the point when they become adults, they are fully functioning adults that can reason and go out into the world and be be able to be successful, not successful like making money stuff,
right?
But like successfully navigating the world and understanding the intricacies and issues of it, and working through it in adult ways, and being able to, have appropriate relationships with people, and just also be able to find joy and happiness in life. There's so much encompassed into it that parents fail at this all the time, but they plan out my kids don't watch cartoons, and they don't do this, and they don't do that, and that makes me a good parent. No, that doesn't. That makes you attempting to look like a good parent. That doesn't make you a good parent. There's a whole different setup that makes you a good parent, and it's none of those things at all. It's about knowing that. Here's the thing. I would say the true mark of a good parent is when your kids trust you. When your kids trust you, when your kids will bring you the bad news, and they know you're going to be disappointed. They know you might even be angry, but they know that they can bring you the bad news, and that's going to be okay. That's when I feel you've done your job right as a parent. It's one of those moments where they're not super terrified. They're also not like completely flippant about it. They know that it's going to be a problem, but they also know they can trust you. And that's the biggest key. Trust is such a hard thing to earn, and you need to be able to have the children trust you, and you do that by your actions, by the way that you work with them, by the way you deal with the problems with them. You build that trust over time. It's not something that's given to you. They don't pop out of the womb and like automatically they have to trust you. It's not their job to trust you. It's your job as the parent to build the trust with them. That's the key.
And I would assume that the easiest way to do that, I can't say the easiest, but probably the most appropriate way to do that
easy way
is leading by example, right?
You lead by example, and you be honest. Be honest. I'm not saying tell your kids everything, but be honest.
Yeah.
Don't and respect the fact that your kid is a human being. Treat them like a human being. Do not treat them like a lesser. Do not treat them like a possession. They are a human being. They have have every right that you do. Their feelings, their emotions, their thoughts are every much as important as yours are. Think back to when you were a kid. That's another thing. Think back to when you were a kid and how all the instances where you felt mistreated by the adults around you. And I'm not talking like, even the big mistreatments like abuse, but even just the small mistreatments when you had an idea or a thought and an adult just basically brushed you off like it didn't matter what you thought because you were a kid. Think of all of those things and don't be that.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make a kid feel like their thoughts, their opinions, their mindset about anything is unimportant. I mean, and you can even be honest and say, well, when they express things like, well, there's a lot of things involved in that. Some of it maybe there's experiences you may not have had yet, so there's maybe parts of it you don't see yet. But that works with a kid. Is that kind of a description about how somebody's feeling about something works with a kid as much as it does with an adult that hasn't had maybe a specific experience yet. You know what I mean? We had a conversation the other day about it as an experience I've never had in response to like job offers and whatnot. I've never had a specific experience, and I asked you if you had that experience and you were able to relate a story to me about having that. That's still an example of I, as an adult, as a 41-year-old adult, did not have a specific experience happen in my life, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about that experience. What I might feel about it, I understand myself at least well enough to know that what I might feel about it, how I might react to it, is my perception of it, but I've never experienced it, so I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know what to do. And my response is to try to talk to somebody that does, or that may have had that experience, and hey, what did you do then? What was your thought frame then? And then I'm not going to say that that's suddenly my new thought frame and how I'm going to handle it, but at least that helps inform me on what I might want to think about before that thing happens. That all makes sense. It's a lot of quagmire there. A lot of suppositional quagmire.
Yeah.
But the point is you can have these conversations with children And like I said, this time of year just illustrates to me this fake parenting thing, this fake parenting of we have to go out and get the new stuff. It's the same thing with pictures all the time. I'd never do school pictures anymore. I used to because of family pressure, and I don't do school pictures at all anymore. And because I think it's a pressure situation. They have you doing pictures like 2 to 3 times a year now. They do them in the.
It used to be fucking once. Why is it 3 times?
Well, they at least always do them now in the fall and in the spring, and sometimes they do it in like January as well. The reason they do it in the fall and the spring, well, they do it in the fall and the spring because your kids change so much between the fall and the spring. It's basically another way to bilk money out of you, and then they make you feel bad.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, they make you the way they bilk the money out of you is they make you feel bad as a parent.
Right.
If you don't get the pictures in both the fall and the spring, so you really don't care about seeing your kids' development. Actually, I do. That's why I see my kids every day before they go to school, and I make sure that I'm home to see them every afternoon and night before they, when they get home from school.
I would just be like,
I see them every day on the weekends. So I see their development every single freaking day.
Not only
I don't need to have a picture to see their damn development.
Well, even if, dude, you've got a fucking phone that takes pictures. You can take pictures of them at any point in time that you decide to.
Well, and then there comes the family pressure from all the older family. I wish you'd get the pictures done for your kids so I could see the pictures of your kids. You want to see my kids? Yeah, I want to see your kids. Well, then come to my house and see my kids. Well, it's not easy to come and do that. Why? You don't have a job. Why the hell don't you set up time to come see my kids? You're retired.
It sounds like I was going to say
you're retired. You don't have a job. You're retired. You're old enough. You don't have a job. You're retired. Why don't you set up a time to come see my kids? Well, I have things that I'm doing. Like what? Okay, you have things that you're doing, but you have time because you don't have a job. Can set aside time to come and see my kids once a month. You could come and spend a day with my kids. Why don't you want to do that? Well, I just want to be able to have pictures to show other people. Who cares what other people see, whether other people see my kids? Do you want to see my kids? Do you want to be a part of their life? Do you want them to know who you are? Because if you do, come and
I
see my
opened up
kids.
a Pandora's box, didn't I?
If you do, come and see my kids. I'm not going to take pictures of my kids and send them to you just so you can see what my kids look like, because you need to see what they look like when you have no idea who they actually really are because you never come and see them. I'm sorry. That's just, I'm one of those people that lives in the experience of the moment, and it's like, go and see the frickin' person. Otherwise, pictures are great to have those moments, but I'm not going to be taking pictures of my kids for the school photos and pay, whatever amount of money they want me to pay twice a year just so that I have school photos for the kids that literally are just going to get thrown away at some point or another.
Dude, I swear to God,
no purpose or point to them anymore.
If somebody asked me, "Oh man, I don't have, your kids grow so fast. You don't have a picture. Do you have a picture of your kids? Where's the school picture?" I would say we don't have school pictures. Well, I want to see a picture of your kid. Turn around, just snap a picture of them right there and send it and text it to them. But there they are, picking their nose or playing video games or eating dinner or some shit like.
Seriously, and even in this day and age, you want to see the kids and you can't come to see them? Fine, video chat me. Hit me up on Messenger. Hit me up on Messenger, and we'll video chat on Messenger. Set up a Skype meeting if you're still using Skype because you're old. Okay, set up a Zoom meeting if you really want to go that far. We'll set up a Zoom meeting, and you can see the kids and talk to the kids, and they can show you all the things that they're into and do tours of their room. I don't have a problem with that. I will set aside the time if you, as a family member, want to take the time to get to know my kids that way and talk to my kids that way. I will set the damn time aside so that can happen. That's not a problem, but I'm not going to go and take pictures of my damn kids and send them to you when you really don't actually want to put the time in to be involved. That's my thing. Just, again, that's fake. Getting the pictures and putting the pictures, grandparents having pictures, grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever, having pictures on the fridge of these kids that they never see, that's fake. That's fake bullshit.
Yeah.
The only time they ever see these kids is in pictures. They don't actually spend any time with these kids. Screw that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memories, and I didn't take a picture of it. It's a memory that I have, and I cherish this memory. One of my favorite memories from right after my mother passed away was watching my grandmother playing in a park, because we went out, we all got together in a park after we viewed my mother's body. We all got together in a park afterwards, used a bunch of plastic totes filled with ice and sodas, and had a bunch of chips to all from Walmart, because that's who we are. We just sat there with that in a park and ate chips and drank sodas, and family together to kind of do remembrance of my mom, and to watch my grandmother walking around the playground in the park with my little niece. And that's like one of the first times she'd ever seen her, because they live, get this, they live 2 hours away, but that was one of the first times they'd ever seen her, or one of the few times. They'd seen her when she was really little, but one of the few times that they had seen her. They don't make the trips to come and visit. 2 hours away. They don't know my kids at all. Have no knowledge of my kids, because they don't make the trips to come to visit. Even though they're the ones that are retired. They drive up. They used to drive up to Canada to visit my uncle and his kids, but they wouldn't come and visit us. And it was a fun moment, because I got to see her playing with the niece, and like this is great. This is beautiful. This is a moment of, this is her interacting, but that's it. It doesn't happen regularly. Still this day, we're 9 years removed. It doesn't happen regularly.
Yeah.
That those grandparents are involved with anything going on with any of the kids. And it's one of those things of like, I'm sorry, I am not going to get you the picture so that you can fake pose about how much you care about your grandkids when you actually are not involved with your grandkids, or in this case, great grandkids, when you're not involved in their life on a regular basis. I'm not going to give you that power to try to say that. You don't get that. If you're involved, you're involved. And that's the thing is, it's, I don't care. And I don't care if it's with kids, with anybody, with any friends that you have. There have been many times where you and I have been friends for many, many years, many years. But I know when I'm hanging out and with stuff, I come to show up for something, I know that while we've been friends for a long time, I still, even though you may not personally have a hierarchy in things, I do. There are people that I will step back and defer to as being closer friends to you, even though we were seeing each other for a while on a weekly basis, and we talk on a bi-weekly basis now. I still defer to the people that are there with you much more often, that are used to be involved with things, seeing you 3 and 4 times a week, and way more than what I was doing. Because those are the people that are in your life on a much more regular basis. I'm only somewhat involved in your life. And yeah, we've been friends for a long time, but that doesn't necessarily give me anything, because I'm not there nearly as much as the other person. It's the people that get sad when somebody dies. You live on the other side of the country, and your brother dies, and you just talk to your brother on the phone occasionally, but you haven't seen your brother in 15 years, and you want to act like it's your big loss and not the loss of the people that were literally seeing your brother every single day of his life for the last 15 years. I'm sorry, they're the people that have the big loss. You have a loss. I'm not saying you don't, but you're not waking up every single day with your entire life changed. You don't have to completely refigure the way that you live everything, because every day that person was right there next to you. You know what I mean? There's a hierarchy to this, and I'm not going to give people who are not involved in my kids' lives on a regular basis the ability to use them in that way, shape, or form. Like, oh yes, these are my grandkids. I love them so much. And bitch, barely talk to them. You've seen them in the last 10 years. You've seen them 5 times. You don't know them. That's kind of my feeling on the situation. So, and that's where this whole thing comes from. This time of year, this is the parent pose. And so when my wife, going back to the original point of this, when my wife innocently is just trying to find good deals on things, she has to justify to me before I will get out of this funk. No, seriously, that child has no underwear that does not have holes in it at this point. I'm surprised. Keep his nuts in the underwear. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of them's singling out half the time. He needs more underwear. They're on sale right now. I'm buying him underwear. I'm like, okay, well, as long as you're buying them because he needs them and not because it's the start of the school year, I'm okay with that. So that's my rant for the beginning of the school year. This went a lot longer than I expected it to. Thanks, Mike. You had to ask the question. But it really does come to it. This is not buying stuff for your kid at the beginning of the school year. That's not how you be a good parent. Buying stuff when your kids need it and taking into consideration the things that they want. Yes, they're stupid sometimes and they're going to make dumb decisions. People are. But you need to be able to let them get through some of those dumb decisions as long as they don't hurt themselves or anybody with them, because that's how I learned that I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need to dress in all black with black lipstick anymore. Or maybe they do because that's where they feel like they're their own. And then love them for that because that's who they are.
Yeah.
Instead of being your little ray of sunshine, their little dark shadow, it doesn't matter. Still love them, even if they don't want you to. All right. Mike.
Yes.
We've got to do this at the beginning. Damn it.
Oh, wow.
Where are people listening to us?
You can be listening to us on our website, thexennialchronicles.com or zencron.com. You also could check out us. Oh, man, we're on every-ish major podcast platform. Oh, and we were out for 2-3 weeks?
Yes, we didn't address that part. Something happened with the server that carries our website. And it wasn't explained to me, which is kind of a good thing because our tech guy, Rob, he knows better than try to explain to me why the thing has its technical computer problems. Because I'll just like, okay, why are you speaking Klingon? Because I just don't. I throw the Klingon thing in for him because he's a Trekkie. But yeah, I don't get any of it. But apparently, yes, for 2 or 3 weeks, it was not working. He said he was in communication with you. And my thing was like, hey, dude, we don't really pay you for this, so when you can get it fixed, please do and let me know.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like, you need to fix it now. And the 5 people that are listening are not freaking out and be like, where are you guys? I can't live without listening to your stuff. So
speaking of which, I got a message from somebody wondering what happened. Yeah.
One of somebody I know?
Yes. One of our listeners, Chava, got a hold of me.
Oh, he's got a hold of you.
I was wondering what's going on. He's like, I'm not seeing the YouTube pages right now. I was like, oh, yeah, about that. We totally forgot we didn't announce it because we didn't know it was a problem.
Wait a minute. He got a hold of you and didn't.
He didn't talk. He didn't get a hold of you?
Now I'm hurt.
I didn't know that.
Oh my.
Well,
that little fucker.
The news is out now.
You're listening to this. I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm coming for you. TARDIS and all.
Wait until Monday, so he doesn't know until he listens to it. Apparently, he mainly listens to us on YouTube. By the way,
you know.
So what? I'm sorry.
Yes. What?
We're talking over each other. I didn't know what you said.
I was just telling him where I'm going to stick the sonic screwdriver. It makes sense to him.
Oh, okay. Yes. I'm not in that universe. But yeah, apparently he listens to us on YouTube and he got a hold of me because I'm not seeing any YouTube videos. Did you guys stop? I was like, no. And then, but that was after we had found out that there were the server issues and stuff. And then it turns out that the podcast was only being listened to on the website itself. And that was the only one that was showing it. But we've reestablished that. I watched as the videos were re-uploaded to Facebook, or were freshly uploaded, all of them to Facebook. And he's like, oh, Facebook videos, sweet. Okay, where's the YouTube ones? I was like, oh yeah, that's right. We're on YouTube too. By the way, if you're listening to us anywhere and you have a YouTube account, go to YouTube, search for the Xennial Chronicles, find us there. Our podcasts are on YouTube. We're going to get, I actually have to manually get the YouTube videos updated so that they auto-update. So I'll do that before this next podcast is out. So all of them should be up and available there. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, make sure that you first subscribe to the channel. That's a big deal. And the second thing that you do is you click the like button. But then there's another thing you got to do too that's next to the subscribe button. See, I'm going reverse order this time. You see that? You see what I did? I juked a little bit. I shifted. I juked. I went back, throwing a curveball. You see that?
I can hit a curveball.
All right.
Hit it, actually.
So there's something to do after you hit the like button and you hit the subscribe button. James, what is that?
Click the bell.
Yeah, that's right. Make sure you click the bell to make sure that you get notified when we put out a new video like that, or when we dump a bunch of videos at once because our server went down and then it comes back up.
And while you're there, clicking that bell and getting notified and subscribing and liking those Please make sure to check out Mike's other 2 pages. Yes, we talk about them all the time, but we're still going to be plugging them because why not? He should get some attention beyond this.
Why, thank you.
His other 2 pages, he does one with his wife called Chronosode Games.
Yes.
Or Chronosode Games, however you want to pronounce it.
Yes.
I always pronounce it wrong, whatever.
Yes.
This is him and his wife playing video games in chronological order of the story, not of the release of the games.
Yep.
And then the last one is just Mike only. If you can't get enough of Mike, if the James filter that happens on this is too much, and his wife filter, have we named your wife? We have named your wife, right? But
we have matter. Before, but that's okay.
If the wife filter is too much, if you just need pure Mike in your system, then I suggest you check out his Ruling Note music page. Even if you don't need the pure mic, just check it out anyway. Like both of those, subscribe to both of those, keep it all in the family, because we want to try to get some success. And hopefully if one of us gets like the ad money, if one of us gets some advertiser that says, hey, we want to promote you and stuff, we can get it for the rest of them, unless you're a place that we don't like.
Right.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
But anyway. Thank you all for listening. And if you're thinking of going out and buying new clothes or backpacks for your kids, just wait a month or 2 and don't be a poser.
Yeah, just chill out. Besides, it'll all go on sale anyway because it's not. Yeah, exactly. You'll get the clearance stuff.
It'll clearance out.
Yeah.
And then
free Christmas clearance, man.
Find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.